Couldn't make a habit out of that, but oh well. Well, yeah, people give people time to show up. They put it on their calendar. Oh, I got to be ready at 7:30. They're running a little late. They're gonna be glad that they didn't miss anything. I mean, honestly, us being late is probably doing people a favor. Yeah, your face. Oh, hello. I'm sorry. I didn't have a chance to get out and go get a red headband. I mean, no one ever wants to see you laugh, right? I mean, just who wants to see people be happy, genuinely? Regrettably, I had to work late today, so I didn't get home, and then didn't have I still had to eat, so I didn't have time to go out and get the headband. I did intend to. I was going to swing by Academy. I figure they sell that there, right? Next time. Jen, there is no sound from you. No, that's exactly my point. We're all very happy to hear Jen laugh, but she's you know, complain. You couldn't hear her. She said that the picture she was taking didn't look good because she was laughing in them. I'm like, come on, that's why I was being sarcastic. Of course, we want to see Jen laugh. I don't know. I can hear you fine. Yeah. Oh my God, this dog. This dog. Ugh. Okay, buddy. Okay. You gonna be chill, Mando? Gonna be chill? Yeah, yeah, that's true.
Okay, okay, my thing is moving. It's moving.
Okay,
Is that
I can still
better?
hear you.
I can still hear me.
We have to wait for the time delay for someone to tell
Yeah.
us if they can hear you. Always a good start to a YouTube video as well.
Yeah. Sorry. Well, in case I think I mentioned this last time, but in case I didn't, every video has like timestamps now, so you can fast forward to a particular topic. So
You can be heard.
if you want to skip all this bullshit, you can just skip to the first. Thanks, Doomy. Doomy edits these for me to do that. So thanks, Doomy.
Thanks.
Okay. I can't concentrate.
Right. I can't concentrate either. Look at this dog.
He's so snuggly.
Yeah. He's been very panicked here the last, couple hours
It's been
because of the
raining.
storm. You know,
Yeah.
he had to go. He needs to use the restroom, right? So he runs up to the back door and jumps at it. Letting me know he needs to go use the restroom. So I get up to go let him out. I'm like, I know it's raining, and when I go to let him out, as soon as I open the door, he remembers that it's storming and he runs away from the door. And then and then a few minutes later, he runs back up and is jumping at the door saying, "I need to go out." So I'm like, "Okay, let's try it again." And then he remembers it's raining and he runs away from the door.
I'm just gonna have to put him on a leash and drag his ass out there.
I mean, I could just put him outside and shut the door.
But then he'd be sad.
Yeah, but he's also going to be sad if he pees inside the house, and then in that case, we're both going to be sad.
Yeah.
So
Very unfortunate. Okay. I have made everyone on Twitter aware that we are
everyone.
here. Everyone, all the like 100 people that'll see that picture.
Your reach is incredible. You can hit everyone on Twitter.
Every single person.
Elon Musk will be coming through on chat here soon.
That'd be pretty cool. I have some questions for him. That's not true. If Elon Musk came here, I'd be like, I don't know who you are.
I don't really know anything about you.
I know nothing about
I
you.
hear about you on the internet all the time.
Yeah. People either really like you or really don't. That's all I know about you.
Okay.
All right, I'm prepared to start talking about Jeff. You know what? We have been friends for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea what your favorite comedy show is.
Really?
Are you into the comedy TV show genre?
Oh yeah, of course. I watch most everything. Drama, comedy, even a little horror every now and then.
Yeah, we did. We watched sort of horror movies this week. We watched some horror movies this week. Hi Joel, hi Chris, hi Severin. Hello everybody. Thanks for coming.
Hi Jeff Bezos.
Hi. He should totally fund our trip to space that we were going to do.
Speaking of Jeff Bezos, if you have Amazon Prime, you have a Twitch Prime subscription that you can give out to someone that you like Jen here would be a great recipient of that sort of thing. Just throwing it out there. Take Jeff Bezos' money, give it to Jen. That seems like a good deal.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I love some Jeff Bezos money, so that'd be great. Apparently his MMO did not do it for me, so that was my first letdown with his money. But actual money, it's good.
I do love. Was this Severon in the chat? I 100% believe that horror now and again is him saying Jen forced me to watch horror.
That is not true. First,
not even remotely true.
Last show we agreed at the same time to watch Nope, and then he texted me and said, "Hey, I watched Prey," and I was like, "Oh, well, Jeff watched Prey, then I definitely have to watch it." So this is not on me, actually.
Yeah, Jeff I brought this upon myself.
Yes.
Well, my favorite comedy shows. So you didn't give me any stipulations or anything.
No.
So it can be animated as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so I gave it a lot of thought.
Okay.
And I think I still have to say South Park.
Okay.
Is my favorite comedy show. And I know you know that I was a South Park fan.
Yes,
so,
yeah.
I think it hasn't been at its best recently. Like, I think it's still good, but I used to tune in every week to watch it, live on cable. Because that's how much I loved it. South Park. Still good.
I also seriously took this into consideration after this question was posed to me. Real quick, I would like to say hi, Sethius, first time chatter. Welcome. And you guys feel free to let us know your favorite. Okay, it was really hard. So at first I was really sitting there and I feel like everybody would guess Seinfeld is my favorite comedy TV show. I think it's pretty well known how much I love Seinfeld. But then I was really thinking, I love South Park. I've always loved South Park. I mean, I love that it is relevant in a ridiculous way.
Relevant and unapologetic.
Yes. I was also thinking a lot about this. I went and watched, again, 6 Days to Air. And it's just so crazy how they make this relevant, witty, ridiculous 30-minute episodes in 6 days. That's so crazy.
And when you look at other shows and you just know how much more work they're putting in to their shows, only to come out and not be as good as South Park, it kind of makes me love South Park even more. It's like, look at these guys. They just throw this shit together.
Well,
and it's gold every time.
That's why I was Seinfeld or South Park. Though a couple people did mention Frasier. Love Frasier. That is it's like the opposite end of South Park, completely.
It's still very clever.
I love clever. I don't know, The Office and Parks and Rec. I do like those, but I could never say they were my favorite. They're not.
I've never watched all of The Office, so
the last 2 seasons were not good.
Well, and it started off okay, and I was enjoying it, and then I didn't watch it for a few weeks. Or this is when it was new. This is when it was brand new. I didn't watch it for a few weeks. And then suddenly everyone was talking about it, and I felt like I was late to the party, and I didn't want to jump in and be, a poser.
It's okay, Jeff. I'm a poser.
Well, and so then I didn't watch it, and then years went by, and I still hadn't watched it. I was like, okay, well, I thought this show was going to end before now, and then it just kept going and going, and I was like, well, maybe I'll watch it when it's done. And now here I am. Still haven't watched it, but I do like Parks and Rec. The other one that I was thinking, if I had to do a live action comedy, and I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say that you aren't a fan of this one, but one of my favorite live action comedies is Scrubs.
Taylor loves Scrubs, so I have seen all the seasons of Scrubs, but it was legitimately like 15 years ago, so I don't remember.
Yeah, you don't remember it at all.
I don't remember anything about it, but that was a popular answer. It's Always Sunny was the most popular fan answer on my.
Well, we talked about it on this show.
Yes, we did, and it was so. I never did finish that season. I was like, I'm gonna go finish it, and I never did.
You should. That last season was really good.
Grey's Anatomy, is that a comedy?
that's Joanna.
Oh, hi, Joanna.
That's my girlfriend. Hi, Joe.
Hi.
But I would probably say Grey's Anatomy is maybe not a traditional comedy. I know it's tough with those medical shows because they do try to bring in a lot of levity. But it's also really heavy at times, right? So I don't know. It's kind of like The West Wing. I think The West Wing is really funny. That's my favorite TV show, period, is The West Wing. I think there's a lot of it that's really funny, but I don't think I could say that it's a comedy entirely.
Never seen it. I don't ever feel like I was smart enough to watch that show.
You're definitely smart enough to watch The West Wing.
Maybe it's too boring then.
That might be the bigger concern, is that you might think it's actually too boring. But I don't know. I loved it. But Scrubs, I will say, the caveat is Scrubs is one of my favorite live-action comedies up until they ended the show, and then they brought it back with a new class. They turned it into a medical school, and they had a whole bunch of new characters. And, it was okay. But in comparison to the rest of the series, that last season was a huge misstep.
Yeah.
And I think most Scrubs fans will just pretend that it doesn't exist.
I didn't know they did that. Why? Do you think it just never works out? I saw another. Everybody Loves Raymond. Okay, I know that's like a very cheesy answer from me, but I guess I didn't realize how much into the comedy TV show genre I was.
Yeah, you've definitely watched a lot of it.
I watched a lot of it, and I normally don't like comedy things. So,
and I do think it's probably. I mean, I guess there's some newer stuff that you still watch, but I was going to say for the most part, it seems like your tastes are, at least 10 years old or older at this point.
Yeah.
So, it could just be the newer stuff. I guess Big Bang Theory is, 15 years old right now? And I imagine if you watched any of it, you hated that show.
I hated that show. I really, absolutely hated that show. It was the worst. We did watch that episode of Rick and Morty for the show before.
Oh, yeah.
Hated that. Absolutely hated that. Kat was telling me she loves SpongeBob. I was like, I hate that.
You know what? I guess it counts as a comedy. And I will say, when SpongeBob first came out, that first season, I watched it a lot, even though I was definitely already too old to be watching SpongeBob. That first season was very, very funny. But like most things, they run too long. Oh, Modern Family. Great shout out. Love Modern Family.
I've heard that's really good. I've never seen it, but I've only ever heard really good things about it. Oh, Joanne with the Bachelorette. Joanna. she love the Bachelorette.
And I do watch that, and I do agree. There's a lot of comedy to be had watching the Bachelorette because it's reality television. It's like watching Jersey Shore sometimes, where people say some pretty ridiculous stuff.
I have thankfully missed every single episode ever of The Bachelorette.
I think it's one of those shows that if you buy into it and you just tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna get really into this, then you have a lot of fun with it.
But is it real? Do they ever get married? Do they ever stay married?
Some of them do.
Is it actually ever love?
I mean, I can't tell you that. I don't know.
Well, like I said, lots of really great answers and lots of comedy shows. I didn't realize I had seen so many. But after a long, serious debate, I am going to have to go with Seinfeld. I have
Okay.
to. Seinfeld's my favorite. I was walking around the grocery store and that show is just so relevant. Even I just recently rewatched it. It is so like every episode could still happen. It's so witty. They're all terrible people, but kind of in like unlike It's Always Sunny where it's very in your face. It's kind of like more subtle terrible people. I
Yeah.
love all the characters, all their personalities. I really thought I was going to discover South Park would have won, except I started rewatching it as well. I do not like Terrence and Phillip.
Yeah, and they were featured a lot early on.
Yeah, and so that ended up being my South Park's not my favorite as much as I love it because I do not like Terrence and Phillip.
Okay. So I do have a question regarding Seinfeld. If Seinfeld's your favorite, have you given Curb Your Enthusiasm a fair shot?
Yes, I do really like Curb Your Enthusiasm. I think Seinfeld I like better just because I like all of the characters, whereas Curb Your Enthusiasm is more about just like Larry David's character for the most part.
Right.
But yes, I do like that show a lot, but I definitely prefer Seinfeld.
I think I do too. Seinfeld's one of those shows that I've never just sat down and watched all of it. Like, it's not a show I've binged, but I've probably seen every episode at this point because it is one of those shows that if it was on, you'd watch it because you knew it was always going to be at least pretty funny.
Yeah.
So, and that's most comedy shows. If you could average pretty funny, you're going to run forever.
And they did. Well, what South Park's on? What, like 25 seasons?
I don't know what to say anymore for how many seasons South Park is because they've switched to doing like movies or like specials. Like they did like the pandemic special, and I don't know.
Instead of a whole season.
Instead of a whole season, they do like a 2 hour or an hour and a half long special. Oh God, yeah. There's so many great comedy TV shows. Archer's fantastic as well. I love. I love Bob's Burgers. How do you feel about? Have you ever tried Bob's Burgers?
I've never seen Bob's Burgers.
Well, I don't know if it'd be for you, honestly. There is some great humor that I think you would like from it, but there's other things that maybe not so much. My girlfriend Joanna hates Bob's Burgers.
She doesn't know.
King of the Hill,
great one.
is coming back. King of the Hill's coming back.
Oh, really?
Yeah, time to rewatch. If you're get yourself ready.
I gotta be prepared. I have a Hank Hill cosplay I've been noodling up, so I guess I'll have to finally get on that. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a good one.
Well, okay. So those are our favorite comedy TV shows.
Yeah, that was a hard one. That was a hard choice. Lots of good ones.
Yeah, I mean, and you'll notice that like I chose one, but like I have a bunch of favorites.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, so what are we talking about next, Jen?
Okay, so this one is a little bit of a follow-up from something we talked about last time. I have been playing the card game Legends of Runeterra from Riot, similar to Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone. Well, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm a huge MMO player. I love MMOs. I have been waiting forever for a new MMO to come out for me to get obsessive with. I feel like it has been so long and I am craving one so badly. And I have always said, just waiting for Riot to release an MMO. All of their games are amazing. I can't think of like really, other than the fact that I really suck at League of Legends and Valorant.
It's still a very well made game.
They're all very well made. So I saw this video from a guy I had never heard of whose name is Nakrit on YouTube. He did a video saying that Riot's world building for an MMO is already built. All the world building's already there. And I was like, what? So I hate YouTube videos, but it was like.
But remember to subscribe to Jennifer's YouTube channel.
I understand if you wouldn't want to watch it, because I wouldn't want to watch it either. But this guy's video was like 25 minutes, and I was like, okay,
Put that
I'll
shit
just
on
watch.
a poster.
I wouldn't watch it either. I got like 10 minutes into it and I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch this whole thing. He is right. So he shows this map of Runeterra. There are 13 regions. There's like 13 different cities, 13 different cultures with all kinds of different, you know, backstories and development and cultures and blah, blah, blah. All totally different. And just through League of Legends, they have created all this lore and all these characters and all this stuff. And I was like, man, if they really release an MMO, I really want to know all the lore there is. I'm gonna start studying now, so when that MMO comes out, I will be an expert. I will know all the things. Like, I always regret that about World of Warcraft. I played that forever, but I never actually knew any of the lore. So we're getting started now. Riot has put out so much lore on their website. They have a website called Universe of Runeterra. There's all the biographies for all the champions, and it's not just like 3 little words. It's like whole pages, and you can see what characters they relate to in their stories. There's like short stories to go with their biographies, and there's even videos for some of
Let's say some of them have videos, right?
Some of them have videos. Even all the descriptions of their regions tell you, okay, what characters are from here. There's stories for the regions, videos for all the regions. And my favorite thing that I thought was really cool is there's even comics and cinematics on there. So they've actually written one shot and told entire series for some of their characters. And a lot of that is used to build on top of each other and make characters related to one another. They did that with Arcane. A lot of that came into play there. So I got really hyped and I was looking through. I just cannot believe that all this lore is there. It's something they've been working on. League of Legends came out like 10 years ago, 11 years ago. And they've been slowly building on to all of this lore, slowly but surely. And it's all free on their website. They have a whole website specifically dedicated to
League of Legends came out October 27th, 2009.
Oh wow. I'm so old. Oh my god. Only like 10 years ago.
I'm sorry, Mando. I'm sorry, buddy.
Oh my
I just
gosh.
kicked my dog in the face. I'm sorry, pal. Well, yeah, so that sounds exciting. Obviously MMOs being your favorite genre of games, and your history with Arcane being what it is. Okay, Mando, you can come up here. It makes sense that you'd be very excited for that, and it sounds very promising. And it's definitely something that they're well into. At least they're working on, because they I saw when I was Googling it earlier that they're hiring for MMO designers.
Yes,
so
they are. They're hiring, and they did officially. I think it was last month. Officially, finally came out and said we are working on something. They haven't released a date. They haven't said how long they have been working on it. They haven't said how long until it's done. No information whatsoever other than it's in the works. So I am going to secretly sit here quietly holding all of my inner desires right here in my chest, and I'm going to read all the lore, and I'm going to be an expert, and then when it comes out, I'm going to jizz my pants, because everything that I have been reading is going to be there, and it's going to be amazing, and then
then you'll play it for 2 weeks and then move on.
No! Not when it comes to an MMO. Well, that's not true. I did that with Star Wars just now. I legitimately did play it for like 3 weeks and then never played it again. But I'm very excited.
Snubron wants to ask why you have a straw in your can.
I only drink out of straws. But the straw is way too long. So. But like, I'm going to cosplay as a Dr. Pepper can next show. So.
You know that because you said that, you now have to. They're going to hold you to that.
All right. I'll get like I'll think of something.
Just save up all your Dr. Pepper cans for months, and then glue them together, to make a giant Dr. Pepper can.
I never drink soda. Lance left this at my house, which is the only reason why I have one. I've been saving it for a special
So
occasion.
Lance is drinking sodas again?
He's not supposed to be drinking soda. That's okay.
Well, yeah, so that sounds exciting, and it sounds like something that if it's free to play, I will definitely give it a shot. And if it's not free to play, I'll let you play it first, and then I'll decide if I want to join you.
It must be free to play. All their other games are free to play.
All the other ones are, so
Yeah, and
why
they
would he
do
not?
pretty well with all their games just through microtransactions and stuff. And they're really good about it, mostly just being cosmetic stuff, nothing like pay to win at all. So, and they're just a wildly successful gaming company. So they're definitely going to make an amazing MMO, and it's not going to be disappointing, and it's going to be perfect and great, and the thing that I have been waiting for years. And I'm going to have to quit my job so I can play it 24/7 every day.
I'm gonna be mad if no, because you can just play it on Twitch, and so then it's work. So, I was gonna say I'm gonna be mad if their work on these other games takes anything away. I mean, anything away from Arcane. If the quality in Arcane drops even a little bit, I'm going to blame all these other projects.
I can't imagine. They really hire, and they really, they really use that money and build, and they're really becoming like just what can't they do, Jeff? They have a TV show, they have a card game, they have a MOBA, they have a shooter.
And they release a game without crunch for their employees? That would be an interesting challenge.
Well, we'll see. I don't care. Even I hope they need to make all their employees crunch. Crunch, I want this game. Come on. Oh, but I'm gonna need some time to learn all the lore. I'll have my own. That's Nick Crit. That's pretty much all he does is League lore.
There's League lore.
Yeah. So, but he has a ton of videos. So I'm pretty sure if there's anything that you want to know, you want to catch up on, you want to learn about, maybe reading is not your big thing. But man, there is so much lore on that universe of Runeterra
That's really cool.
information. I mean, comic books. They have entire comic books out there for you to read. It's crazy.
Very cool.
It's very cool. I'm excited. It better not suck. It's gonna happen. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore because I can't be waiting 4 years, for this thing to come out. I have to forget all about it. So that way,
forget everything you know.
Forget everything I know, so I don't get too excited.
Well, let's get into the stuff that we are reviewing this week.
Okay. Well, we watched a lot of movies. All right, so this one, actually, you had texted me and said, I watched this. I actually had quite a few people on my Twitter talking about how they watched Prey. I did not know, when people were saying they watched Prey, I did not know it was a Predator movie. So I actually...
That is very interesting.
Had no idea this was I did see a tweet like right before I watched it where somebody had mentioned something about it. So when I actually saw the movie, I did know it was a Predator movie, which I really wish I wouldn't, because that would have been pretty cool if I'm just watching this like.
It's funny that you say that, Jen, because I put together some fun facts on the movies and things we are talking about today.
Yes.
And one of the fun facts I have for you on Prey is that the director stated that when they were first planning their marketing strategy for the film and they were planning their first trailer, the first trailer was not going to show the Predator at all.
Cool.
The first trailer was just going to be the Native Americans, the Comanches, hunting. It was going to look like that's what the movie was about, was some beast in the wilds that they're trying to take down, right? And they weren't going to reveal that it was a Predator movie until like the final trailer that was going to come out the week before the movie came out. They were going to have, again, it was going to be the hunters, and then at the end it was going to be the scene with the Predator holding the deer or the bear over its head, and just for a split second. So that you blink and you'd miss it. That it was going to be, the Predator. So that was their intention, but of course nothing. We can't have anything nice. The movie details were leaked online months
Oh.
before the first trailer came out, so the whole plan got scrapped because it was already out there. And the director tweeted out something like, "We had a really cool idea, for how we were going to do this, but the word's out there, so kind of a bummer, but also yay."
Yeah. I would have been real sad. I just wouldn't have said anything. You're like, no, that's not true. No, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not true.
That's not true.
That's not true. Nope.
Predator, what?
I think you're confusing us for somebody else.
But yeah, so that was their intention, and I also wish that is the world we lived in, because I think that would have made this movie very exciting, and that's something I've thought about with a lot of movie, especially franchises. I have for a long time wanted a Star Wars movie to come out, but in all the trailers and everything, it just looks like a like maybe like a sci-fi noir thing. And then once you're in the movie, like you realize, oh, this is Star Wars. There's like that's a stormtrooper, and it's like stuff that you didn't see. I mean, I would love for things like that to happen with IPs, because everyone who is a fan of that is going to go watch it immediately, right? Everyone who's a Star Wars fan is going to be like a big event. So if they had gotten all the way to this and they hadn't revealed that it was a Predator, the moment word got out that there was a new Predator movie, everyone would be on their streaming services on Hulu, which is where this movie is streaming.
Yes.
And they would have all jumped at it right away. But, instead, people are like,
It's just those people that like to be the first to know and like to tell everybody about it. I really wish I would not have known this was a Predator movie. That would have been really cool. That the first scene and you see the ship coming and it's just like the big landscape. And I'm like, what? What is that? But I have to say, this was my first Predator movie. I have never seen a Predator movie before. So that's why I'm saying it would have been cool not knowing it was a Predator movie, because I'm like, what is that? Oh, I think I've seen that before. What is going on here? So, yeah. So, actually watching this, and they really don't give that much detail about, like, where a predator comes from. What's it doing here? Like, so, I watched this movie and I was like, I know nothing about this predator, like, at all. So, that probably skewed my opinion on it a little bit.
So, two things. One, Joanna in the chat yelled Jeff, and I don't know what I did. So... sorry and or yeah, whatever, if it's a good thing. But second, there is one great Predator movie, the first Predator, and then it kind of just peters out as a franchise. It's the first one is a classic, and I enjoyed the second one a lot as well, but it didn't really do a whole lot new in comparison to the original. So it's good, and I think having seen this movie, there are a number of quotes from the movie, lines in the movie that are direct lines from the original. So
that's pretty cool.
So there's cool callbacks that for people who are fans of it, they would catch those and enjoy that. And some of them are kind of memey, but it's really fun that they took that approach with this movie, and I am happy that we have a good Predator movie again, because Aliens and Predators are really cool franchises, and Aliens versus Predator was a big hype moment. I got really excited to watch AVP when that movie first came out, and it was fun, but it's not like a masterpiece or anything like that. And this one approaches that category where it's like, wow, they're doing something fresh with this IP and kind of rejuvenated. And as of right now, it is currently the highest rated Predator movie. It's got a higher rating than the original. So, but that's what the rest of the world thinks. Jen, what did you think?
Well, first, okay. So I guess let's get into some Oh wait, wrong button. Spoilers. Guys, since we're going to be talking about our reviews of these movies. Look, I made this little tag, guys. Aren't you proud of me? I'm so cool. Yeah, I don't know. It was okay. I'm really like all the CG was really annoying to me. I liked the idea of the Comanche, very they could have done a lot more organic stuff, but I get like it just seemed like all the fight scenes were all CGI and all the animals were all CGI. I didn't think the acting was super great or anything. There was only like 3 characters in the whole movie though, so
At least like only 3 that are like really fleshed out at all.
yeah. I'm just not. I don't. Obviously, I'm not a Predator fan, so I did not get the callbacks, the joy from that. I did not get the joy from, oh my god, look, he used this weapon. I loved in number 2 when the shield thing, when he chopped that guy's head off with the shield, that was pretty cool. But I don't know. Everybody seemed to really like it and was very excited about it, but I did not care about it at all.
I thought that the action and the gore was very well done. Like there were some violent takedowns, and they were all really cool. So that was a big highlight. Sevron took my other fun fact that I had for this movie, which is that this movie was also released in Comanche. They recorded it both in English and in Comanche. So there's a version of the movie you can watch where they are in fact just talking in their native languages, or I guess not all the actors necessarily were their native, but like in the languages of the actual characters.
Oh my god,
which is really cool.
I would have loved to watch that version. That would have made it so much cooler.
And I didn't find out about it until after I'd already watched it. So,
Dang.
but I do want to rewatch it because of that. Because I think it's the kind of movie that you don't actually need to know what anyone is saying.
Yeah.
To get what's happening and to enjoy it. So I think that almost would add a level of authenticity and a level, make it a little more special as well.
Because I was thinking that a problem that I have with like foreign films or films where a section of the people are non-English speaking is that they're always speaking English. And I'm like, well, somebody that grew up and lives in China is not going to be speaking English, but you just want the English audience to be able to understand it. So you make everybody speak English. It's like, man, that'd be so cool if we have these Native Americans, Comanche, and they do speak a little bit in the movie in their native language, which I thought was really cool. It's like, but man, it would have been so much cooler if they, were not speaking English. And then they did that, and I didn't know. Oh my god! Now I'm sad because that would have been that would have definitely made me enjoy this movie a lot more.
Well, give yourself some time, like a couple of weeks. You'll forget everything about this movie, and then you can watch it again for the first time.
Yeah.
But so that I thought was very cool, and it's very special in that regard as well. There are not a whole lot of movies or television shows with majority native actors.
Yeah.
So that this stands out in that regard as well. As far as the quality of the acting, I thought that Mid Thunder, I think what Amber Mid Thunder, the main actress, I thought she was good.
Fine. But
I don't think it's exactly a role that has too much nuance to it. There's the lines where she's proving herself. I am a hunter. I can hang with the guys. There's that dialogue, and then there's running for your life because the predator is chasing you.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's like a very difficult role in comparison to some other stuff out there, but I thought she did a great job. And I did buy Tabe, her brother, was played by Dakota Beavers, which great name, by the way. Just love that name. But I thought that some of his delivery was not great, and then other times I really, I felt like he was just a big brother who was trying to be nice to his sister, but really didn't believe in her. And I bought into that in some of his line delivery until he did believe in her, and crazy things happen. One other really cool thing that you wouldn't know because you haven't seen the other Predator stuff, and I guess it's a spoiler for the other Predator movies. I'm not going to get too into it, but another cool thing they did was, since this is in the past of where the first Predator movie takes place, the Predator is advanced, as you can see, over the people he's hunting, just as he was in the first Predator movie, but they took away some of his signature weapons, and some of his weapons that we see him use are like reduced capability versions of the ones from the later. So there's still an evolution in the weapons he uses as well.
That's
So this
cool.
functions very well as a prequel, um, without, like you said, giving you a whole lot of information about the predator itself. Because in this sort of movie, that's what you want, is a monster that you want to know more about, but you can't really learn about it because the characters are running for their lives the entire time, and that's what you want from this sort of quote unquote horror movie. Uh, I personally was not scared for a moment in
Yeah.
this movie, and I'm a candy ass. So, is this really a horror movie? I would say no. I think it's a very cool sci-fi movie because it's blending, the past with future tech in a really cool way. So, Jen, if I were to ask you, what would you rate Prey?
It was a 5. Like, I wasn't mad about I watched it. I would have enjoyed it more, I think, if I hadn't known it was a Predator movie and if I had actually watched it in their native language and not English. I would have definitely liked it more. But I did not know it's from the director of 10 Cloverfield Lane. I
Oh,
love
yes,
that
it is.
movie.
Yeah,
That's a great movie.
another
So,
very good suspenseful movie.
yeah. But the acting in that one was amazing, and I love the story of that one. I love that movie. But yeah, I give it a 5. It was fine.
This
No-
is out of 10.
Yes, 5
Just
out of
to
10.
clarify.
5, yeah, 5 out of 10. What'd you
Okay.
think, Jeff?
I gave it an 8 out of 10. I'm one of these people who's very, very hyped on this movie.
Yeah.
I think that I didn't have super high expectations for this movie, given where the franchise has gone. The most recent Predator movie was a total bomb. I didn't even see it myself because it had such poor critical acclaim and fan response. Although if someone has seen it and they think I should check it out, maybe I will. Let me know in the chat if you think the other new Predator movie from 2 years ago, I think it was. Okay, yeah. Severance says, yeah, the last one sucked.
Okay, I did
So
have a question. Oh, sorry.
yeah.
I had a question though about Predator in general. So he goes to other planets to fight and find the best warriors. He wants to fight the top of the top. Isn't that their shtick? Like, why are they traveling to these planets and fighting people? What is the point of that?
That's their culture. They're a hunter culture, the predators, and they fly around the galaxy and get dropped off on planets, and they hunt increasingly more deadly prey. So they work their way up the food chain on whatever planet they're on. So like when they land on Earth, they start with something small, and then like he killed a snake, and then he kills a wolf, and then he kills a bear, and who's at the top of the food chain? Humans,
Yeah, but
even
some
back then. So
12-year-old girl that's never hunted before in her life.
she's hunted. That was the whole thing. She's hunted.
She couldn't even kill that rabbit at the beginning. She kept missing it.
Okay, I think throwing a hatchet at a rabbit is pretty difficult.
Well, I know nothing
Also,
about
did you
Predator.
not read the book Hatchet in like middle school?
Mm-mm.
That was required reading, for us in middle school. A book called Hatchet. It's about a young man who's on a trip in like a two-seater plane. The plane crashes and the pilot dies, and he's left in the wilderness with nothing but a hatchet, and he has to survive. So he has to, and one of the things he learns how to do is kill a rabbit with his hatchet.
Well, she couldn't even
And
do that,
he
so
never thought to tie string on it.
that was pretty cool.
That was really cool.
Yeah, there was definitely some cool like combat mode, but like I said, I feel like it was all CG, and that really took out a lot of the like cool factor for me.
Yeah,
I like it when
Jen
people
really
actually
wants
do.
to see someone peel the skin off a snake in real
No, poor
life.
Snake. I would never. But that was my. Isn't this guy supposed to be some huge badass hunter guy? And then he just like gets pulled into mud, and that's how he dies. Like I don't know. It was very anticlimactic for somebody who's supposed to be like such a fucking badass alien guy. So
Well, I mean, I'll admit that ending was not as climactic as I thought it would be, but they did set it up well. They set it up. She gets stuck in the mud earlier, so
yeah,
so
yeah.
she knows it's there. They set up that if she's cool to the if their bodies are cool, they can't be seen. They set that up. They set it up that the targeting is done by his helmet, and if they take the helmet away, then these auto targeting arrows are going to find whatever they're actually targeted at. So like there was payoff for all of those setups with that final kill there.
Nobody said he was a genius
And that's
alien.
the other thing. We don't know that like they dropped this guy off on Earth, and he's like their most brainless predator. And they're like, okay, you get Earth. I
Yeah.
think you can handle this.
That's a good point. Okay, I can see that. All right, I can see that. All
But
right.
so that's Prey.
Yeah, still five.
But
Still
we
five.
watched a lot of movies this week, as you
We
said,
did. We did watch a lot of
and
movies.
so and I want to say just because you really like when you said we watched a lot of movies, it's like the most movies you watch in a week almost ever, right, Jen? You watch like 4 movies or 3 movies.
I watched 3 movies since Friday. So, what I watched Nope on Friday, I watched Prey on Monday, and I watched Lightyear last night. So, yeah, I watched 3 movies in like 4 days. I never do that.
I on my letterbox, I had 50 entries last week.
What?
I've been doing a complete rewatch of everything Pixar has ever released. I say rewatch. Some of it I've never seen because it's a lot of their stupid shorts and things.
Hmm.
And so that's why I'm all the way. I'm up to Inside Out in the movies, and I started that last week. So like I've watched a lot of movies in the last week. But among those was a movie that we discussed last time that we were going to watch, and so here we are talking about Nope.
Speaking of horror movies, so that wasn't really that scary.
Nope.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
So yeah, it was not that scary.
Nope.
Nope.
Let's go
And
into
again,
the spoilers tag.
we are going to spoil this one. When we get to Bullet Train, I'm not going to spoil that one.
Okay.
Just because it just came out this last weekend. So Nope, directed by Jordan Peele, who did Get Out and Us, both of which very well critically acclaimed and super popular among audiences. So very high expectations for this movie when it was coming out. And did it live up to that? Well, let's discuss and find out. I'm not a huge horror fan, but I did see Get Out, and I liked Get Out quite a bit. So I know Jordan Peele is capable of very, very good movies. And I did enjoy this movie, but I can't even for a minute pretend that it was that scary. The scariest thing about the movie is the monkey.
The CG monkey, by the way.
Yeah, she's mad that they couldn't get a monkey to kill people on command in real life.
I mean, it cannot be that hard. All right, monkey. Go like this, and then we'll spray ketchup everywhere. Like, what are you training these animals to do? You know, where are these animal actors? I'm tired of all this CG crap. And it
No
looks
more CG.
terrible. My thing is, they're putting all these CG in all these movies, and, like, what is that going to look like in 15 years? Anybody going to go back and be like, oh man, no, what a fucking classic. That CG monkey holds up today. Like, no, it's going to look like shit in the future. What? You make this face at me.
Because look at every animated movie we watched as children.
Like, Disney animated?
Disney, yeah, Pixar, the old Pixar ones.
Yeah, what about it? It's a cartoon.
I'm saying those movies still hold up, despite like Toy Story 1 still holds up.
But this is supposed to be realistic. You're supposed to look at that and be like, that's a monkey. Not like, oh, that looks like a computer fucking made that monkey. No.
Okay, so your issue isn't so much that it's not a real monkey; it's that it's not a practical monkey; it's a CG monkey.
Yes, where's my practical monkey? I'm all about practical effects in any way you can do it. Sets, FX. Like, I want practical effects. Always, always, always. Where has that gone? Where has that gone in the world, Jeffrey? It's all CG.
I mean, some movies are still doing that. Others not so much, and this one did not.
No.
Horror movies in general, it's interesting. They usually have, in comparison to other movies, have smaller budgets, and usually due to smaller budgetary constraints, they are more creative with practical effects, and usually to great success. All of John Carpenter's classic horror movies just had so much great practical effects, and that's part of what makes those movies so special.
Well, that's what somebody was saying on the internet when I was like, okay, I gotta watch Nope. Everybody is raving about this movie. Some person was like, oh man, Jordan Peele's the best director of horror movies ever, even better than John Carpenter. And I was like, what? Okay, I have to see this movie.
I mean, people do get sensationalistic online. I mean, that's...
And
maybe he will be. Maybe by the end of his career, we'll look at Jordan Peele and say, yeah, he's up there with John Carpenter. But, he's only directed 3 movies. I'm not prepared to give him a crown yet,
Congo. That's what I'm saying. I want some Congo.
You want Congo. Well, okay, so Rinsler brings up Planet of the Apes. Did you watch any of the Planet of the Apes trilogy?
I saw the first one. And I remember that it looked really good, but I haven't seen it recently at all.
And that is, of that trilogy, the worst looking one.
Oh, really?
By far. I mean, it was the first one in that trilogy. And the quality of the CG apes just got so much better as they went on. And so I think it's possible for CG movies to make something that will stand the test of time and will still look good in the long run. It's weird that this monkey looked so fake, and it did. It looked very fake. But what did you think of the alien of the movie? I guess should I give a little premise of the movie here?
Yeah.
So the premise is that the 2 main characters, OJ and Emerald Haywood, are brother and sister, played by Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer, and they are horse wranglers. They're the horse trainers for movies, and out on their land, they discover that their horses keep disappearing. And, well, rather, OJ discovers, and then, because his sister is absentee at this point, she's kind of checked out. But they kind of pick up slowly that there's something weird going on, and something is taking their horses, and they plan out how they're going to find out what it was that was doing that. And by following a cloud in the sky that they've discovered does not move naturally. And I don't want to go too much more into that unless you want to really dive into spoilers, Jen. What do you think?
Let's go. Let's talk about spoilers.
So inside this cloud is an alien spaceship.
But that was so stupid when they were like, oh, it's an alien spaceship. No, it is the alien. Just like, oh my God.
So I talking to our friend Kat, she also did not like that. That the spaceship is the alien. And it's not actually a spaceship, it's just an alien. And Chase didn't like it either. But I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense, but I was just like...
The premise is that they are, that OJ knows how to handle animals. And so it makes sense that, the way that he's going to solve how to survive this is by discovering that it's an animal and learning how to handle it. And I thought that was really cool. That I don't think my biggest complaint is what the alien actually looked like.
The big butthole, the big flying.
It's a big space butthole. It's a big suck up butthole. That's what.
Yeah. And then they get sucked into the inner tube, and it's all
Yeah, but
squishing
then
them.
when it wants to, it's not a butthole. It's several sheets.
Yeah. That's how not scary this movie is. We're literally making fun of the fucking alien in
So
this.
it's very interesting because like it's not that scary, but I was interested in seeing how they were going to solve it the whole way through.
I was
So
not
I
interested.
was enjoying it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought that the B storyline of child actor played by Stephen Yun, named Ricky Jupe Park. He is, was a child cowboy actor, I guess, and he was on this show where there's a monkey, and the monkey went nuts and killed everyone in the cast except for him. Uh, and I thought that was super interesting, and I couldn't wait to see how they were going to tie that storyline in with the alien. Did the alien make the monkey go nuts?
Yeah.
How did he do that? Is he making the horses go crazy? Is that what's happening here? And then no, like we don't get to see what the cause of the monkey thing was. He literally just snapped. Um, so what did you think of that B plot?
Um, I didn't care because I didn't want to see that fucking monkey. It looked terrible. I did not want the monkey to be in the movie at all. I hated looking at it. It was it really just like, how hard is it to get an actual monkey? They got all these horses. I'm just
True, they do have all those horses. Uh, I guess part of it is that you know I think there actually are some limitations on what you can use monkeys for now, and so maybe that was something they couldn't. Maybe they couldn't actually use monkeys. Who knows? But I have some fun facts for you about Nope. At least I think they're fun. A huge portion of the movie takes place with a Fry's Electronics employee.
yes.
They buy a bunch of security cameras to try to catch the alien in the act. And it just so happens that the guy working at Fry's is a big alien nut and wants to help them with their task here. So, fun fact: Fry's Electronics was featured so prominently, but they actually went out of business during the pandemic.
Yeah, that's why
So,
I was confused why they didn't use like Best Buy or something like, and like where are they getting this Fries merchandise, all this sign? Like, why did they choose Fries? I do miss Fries. I loved Fries.
I
So
love Fry's as well,
made me
and they,
very
in fact,
sad.
did film this before
Oh,
it went out
really?
of business.
Oh, that's
So,
too bad.
yeah, because honestly, I think this movie's, while it isn't breaking box office records or anything, it's doing well. It's his third movie to go over 100 million. So uh, I think that there might have been some people who'd been reminded, oh yeah, Fry's is pretty cool, because it was. It's a great tech store, and
Yeah.
like I bought my webcam from Fry's way back. I bought my microphone from Fry's. Yeah, a lot of my computer parts I bought from Fry's. I loved that store,
They were really knowledgeable too. Like I would
and they
go in,
were.
I'd building my computer and be like, "This is the list of parts I got. You got anything better for cheaper? Just check this, see if you can." And they would be able. They'd sit there with you for like half an hour and just help you pick stuff out, look through everything, search for prices, and all this stuff. I loved Fries. Very sad about
So
that.
shout out to Fry's being featured so prominently in this movie.
Yeah, I can't
It was
believe
a
this
nice
was
trip down
recorded
memory lane.
before they went out of business. That's
Yes. So other interesting things about this movie: Jordan Peele, after the pandemic, during the pandemic, because that's when they were coming up with a lot of this stuff. During the pandemic, he wanted to make a movie that would be a spectacle because he felt like that was something that was missing for people during the pandemic. While there was still new movies being released, none of them were big spectacle movies, right? And so that's what he set out to make with Nope. Uh, whether you think he hit that mark or not is up to your decision. I personally think he fell a little short of it being a full-on spectacle. But a fun fact was this was the first horror movie ever shot completely on IMAX cameras. So, I mean, at least he was trying. He pulled out all the stops on to make this into something special. Uh, you got a blank stare for me, Jen.
I don't know the difference between a regular camera and an IMAX camera.
So IMAX screens have a different resolution.
Like
Is that the right
ratio?
word? Ratio. Thank you. So the cameras are designed to have a wider scope, so that they actually capture more content than regular cameras do.
That's cool.
And they're incredibly high definition. Which these days, everything looks great. I don't honestly, I have a hard time telling the difference between a lot of once you get past 1080p. I'm like, okay, that's good. Okay, 4K, I can see that, but then I hear about like, oh, this display is 8K. I'm like, I can't see anything. These are the same thing. But okay, my last fun fact from Nope, that I thought this was really interesting, despite it being about a monkey that you hate.
I hate it.
After Gordy finished his rampage in that flashback scene, he signed to the young Steven Yeun character, because monkeys. That's how monkey actors are. It's one of the things they did in the 80s was they would sign things, and he signed to him what happened family.
Aww.
So the monkey didn't realize what he was doing. He had literally just gone crazy, killed his family, didn't know what happened, and then he gets headshot.
Yeah. That's not funny.
You just laughed.
They don't show it, guys. Don't worry. You don't see it.
I mean, you see him, he's looking right at the camera, and then you see blood splatter.
Yeah, but
so, like put two and two together.
Yeah. I don't know.
But yeah. Okay, well, so I thought it was an interesting movie. The other thing I like about Jordan Peele is that his movies usually have a message of some kind, and I will say I don't think this one really had an obvious message the way that Get Out or Us does.
They specifically say in the movie, the whole thing is you can't. That quote? You can't tame a predator. You have to learn how to work with it. That was the whole point. That's why the monkey went crazy. They were trying to tame a predator, and that didn't work out. And now with the alien, just the whole don't look at it. I was just so fucking stupid.
So I thought, and bear with me, this is my theory, and Jordan Peele has been very quiet about what the actual message of the movie is. I thought that the message might be something related to a contradiction between a desire to be seen, like the celebrities, a desire to be seen, but simultaneously a desire to be left alone. So, they need to be looked at. They need it to survive, but they lash out at you when you give them the attention. Does that make can you see any of that? The alien can only kill some stuff if it's looking at it. It only attacks things that have faces looking at it. So, it needs in order to survive, it needs to be watched, but it also hates being watched.
I mean, I see what you're saying. I don't know if that's the message, but that is true.
Sevron has a great theory as well. His theory is don't trust giant buttholes.
I'm just saying. See that one in Dune? We didn't like that one either.
I liked Dune.
But not the butthole. Except when
you really should retweet. You really should retweet that image I made of you as the sandworm.
It was classic.
Okay, well, so I think I got a feeling that your answer to should people see this movie is a big fat nope.
Well,
but
I just
what
would
did you
like
think?
To point out a couple more things other than just the monkey. I just thought the plot, the whole entire plot, is them wanting to capture it on camera to sell it to make money, and all their friends are fucking dying, and they're almost dying, and all they care about is getting the shot of it. And when you were mentioning this in Prey, I do not like callbacks, especially when there are so many of them. So of course she's in this, takes the stupid picture in the well Like, oh, okay, the whole movie about them taking a picture. I'm sure that's going to come back later. And that's how she captures the picture. She, of course, finds change on the floor. Oh, this is my last quarter. Better get a good one. And of course, it's like the fucking just stupid little
I don't think it
convenient.
was her last quarter. I think that the
No,
helium balloon she had just let into the air was going to explode, and that's why it was her last one.
I'm like 80% confident she commented that was her last coin.
Oh, maybe
But
I could be wrong.
I just didn't like the plot at all. I thought it would. And the director, actor, how he talked like this the whole movie. He's so cool. So fucking stupid. I hated it. And I hated having to listen to him talk, and I'm glad he died.
The
Stupid.
cinematographer that she's referring to was played by Michael Wincott, who doesn't have like a really glamorous other career. So like the rest of his career is not like fantastic. So this was like a big moment for him.
Well, it was horrible.
Yeah, you do not. You're not mincing your words regarding this character at all.
Well, sorry if he watches the show.
Which is so funny because again, I thought his voice was cool.
Really? Oh my!
I,
You were supposed to think he was cool.
I didn't think he was cool. I thought his voice was cool. He seemed like a pretentious douchebag,
Which he was. His
which
voice
he was.
definitely came across as that. And I did, like the fries employee, how he's just like just being an asshole. Like, have you really ever gone to a store and they have like talked to you that way? Like rolled their eyes and made fun of you and ignored you, and I mean, I don't know. It's just like the whole point was for him. He looked like a douchebag, so let's give him the ultimate personality of being a douchebag. That's
You're
just
talking
how.
about Angel.
Yeah. When they go and they meet him in the store and he's asking all these questions about the cameras and he's like being really rude to them. I have had people at Walmart help me. They're very nice.
I thought he was being a little bit of a know-it-all. Definitely did not think he was that much of an a-hole. I
Really?
even kind of like the guy. I don't know. I was like, he's actually excited about this, and I got the feeling that he doesn't have a lot to be excited about, and so that he was throwing himself into this completely. Like
I'm
he's
talking
all
about
in on.
before that, when they're meeting him in the
Oh well, yeah,
store.
Jen.
And
Maybe it's just been too long since we worked at GameStop, but I know for a fact that while we may not have been rude to people's faces, we definitely talked shit about them as soon as they were out the door.
yeah, but that's different. He was rude to their face. And then he goes to their house and he's talking about his girlfriend and all that. Like, have you ever been an employee, never met somebody before, and you start telling him about how your life sucks? Like, that's fucking. Who does that? Is that a thing? That's never happened to me.
I mean, it happened to us working at GameStop where customers would come in and tell us how their life sucked.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Ugh. So, anyways, all the side characters, I did not. You were right. The cowboy boy, he was definitely the most interesting story. Okay, but also, of course, just fucking stupid. The girl actress that was his
Vicky Paul.
partner,
Oh no,
she's
that was Stephen Yun's
yeah.
partner.
And she's like, oh, and he's like, oh, look, she came to view our horse extravaganza. And she's wearing this veil. And of course, it has to blow away just for you to see a little bit that her face has gotten ripped off. But again, like, just not necessary. Did not go anywhere. Did not need to be just an excuse to show a little bit of something.
I think that was entirely done for the trailer.
Ugh,
Because
gross.
in the trailer of the movie, there's a brief flash where you see you see what ultimately is a monkey's hand reaching out, and in the trailer you don't know that it's a monkey's hand. It's just this weird, wrinkly hand, and then you also see this woman sitting in at a what looks like some sort of staged a stage area, and the wind blows her veil away, and you get like sort of like this lipless face that has sort of a bizarre quality to it. I think that's the sort of visual that they do so that when you're setting up the movie, when you're with the trailer, you can't really tell what the movie's exactly going to be about.
It's fucking
Which,
gross.
which for some people they probably wouldn't like that. Like, it sounds like you think that's gross.
Well, it doesn't have anything to do with the movie. Like, they just put that in there for people to be like, wow, I wonder what that's about. It's about nothing.
She's the girl from the TV show.
Yeah, but she could have just been dead. You did not need to show her lipless face. It had no consequence to the movie.
But nothing with the monkey had any consequence with the movie.
I don't think that's true. I think that further did the point of you can't tame a predator. Look what happens when you do try to do that. I think
that's fair.
I think that came in with that theme.
Well, and part of the other thing was that he survived that monkey attack, which maybe gave him a false sense of security that he can figure out how to work with any predator, and so that's why he thought that like he knew what the aliens wanted, and he was able to make a big showcase for the alien.
Yeah.
I think the biggest crime from this movie, though, is the tragically limited use of Keith David, who played OJ and Emerald's dad at the beginning of the movie. I love that actor. I love Keith David. He's got a great voice. Really great screen presence.
Mass Effect.
Yes, he is. He is in Mass Effect.
Sounded so familiar, but I couldn't place it, and I was like, I'm pretty sure.
He was what's his name? Commander or no? Admiral. 1 second, I'll find it.
While you're doing
Anderson. He's Anderson.
Oh, yes.
There it is. Oh, Severn got it.
Yeah.
He's Anderson in Mass Effect. But yeah. Anyways, what did you think of Nope?
One more thing, I would just like to say this was basically a slice of life horror movie where it's just about people living their lives, doing a thing that they're doing, which I don't really feel is like a plot. The plot is they're trying to take a picture, and the whole movie, 2-hour movie, is about them trying to take a picture. It's a slice of life horror movie, and I hate slice of life movies, anime. Hate it. I hate just stories about fucking people living their lives. So, I don't know. That's all I have to say.
And does not give a shit about your life. Severn asks challenge round. Jen has to say one nice thing about the movie. It really shouldn't be this hard. This movie is not bad.
It's not bad, but it was just boring. Like, I like horses. There was a horse in it.
I'm picturing the Blu-ray case, and on the back it's got quotes from all these people. It says Jennifer Van Damsel. I like horses.
Well,
perfect.
There you go. That's it. I gave it a 4.
Okay, so this is a below average movie. It's bad.
No, it's not bad. 5 is a movie. I'm not glad I saw it. I'm not mad I saw it. Like with Prey, it was over, and I was like, okay, I just watched a movie. I have no emotional attachment or thought about this at all. And this, it made me feel bored. So it wasn't just an okay movie. It gets a point knocked off from it just being okay because I was bored for like 80% of it. So it was boring.
I apologize. I can't get my camera to refocus for whatever reason.
I think it looks fine.
Okay. It gives me a nice ethereal quality.
Yeah. You look like an angel.
Oh, thanks, Jen. So I gave this an 8 out of 10.
What?
Hold up. When I first watched it.
Oh, no.
And the more I've thought about it, the more I really do think it's like a 7.
Oh, that's not that big of a difference.
No, but it's a big difference for me because, like, an 8 is like a movie that I will actively recommend to people. Mm. And a 7 is like, yeah, no, that's a good time. You'll have a good time with that movie. But I'm not gonna champion it. Yeah. You know? But an 8 or higher, I'll be like, oh yeah, no, you should check that out. So I do think it's more of a 7, and it could have gotten back up to an 8 if they had done more with that monkey. You know, if it was a better monkey, a better looking monkey, if he had done more tricks, if we'd gotten to see him actually kill people, you know, something like that.
I mean, I get it. I get the CG monkey. I get it, but I don't like it.
Severed. I gave it an 8, and then I heard you talk shit about it for 20 minutes straight. So, no, I just think. I mean, there's some truth to that. You hear valid criticisms for something, and it readjusts your view of it. That's a perfectly normal thing to happen. But since I watched it, I watched it like Wednesday of last week. I've had some time to think about it, and yeah, it's not special, which is unfortunate because, like I said, he set out to make a spectacle movie, and it falls short of that. It's not a spectacle. And in fact, while I'm sure people will talk about that alien for a very long time, I don't think they're going to be talking about that alien in like, oh, that was a cool alien. They're going to be like, what was up with that alien?
I don't even think it's a memorable alien. Like, it didn't do, like, even the last scenes, it's just floating.
That's what I'm saying. We're going to remember that alien for not being that interesting.
Yeah, this whole movie is just not interesting.
Or rather, I'm going to remember it. You're going to forget about it.
Yeah, I'm glad. Sometimes I'm glad I have a terrible
Sometimes it's a
memory.
gift that you get to do that. Well, so not off to a great start on the movies this week with Jen.
Yeah, so far not so good.
But we did talk. We did watch another movie that I think we mentioned it previously as something we might want to watch, and
Yes.
here we are.
All right, so we did watch Lightyear, which I'm a big Disney fan, so I was super excited to watch this one.
And
I do have a big rant that I would like to go on. But if we're starting out with just general overall thoughts.
yeah, give me a general thought on Lightyear.
It was pretty good. Like, it was pretty good, I guess.
I agree as well.
Yeah,
It's pretty good.
it's pretty good.
It's the general premise, as we do like to do premises for these sort of things. The general premise for Lightyear is that in Toy Story, Andy gets a toy named Buzz Lightyear, right? It's a toy from, as it turns out, a movie that he was very excited about when he saw. And this movie, Lightyear, was that movie. It literally says that at the beginning of the movie. That's the first thing they say on screen is like, this is that movie. This is Andy's favorite movie from when he was a kid. I think that's a very cool concept.
Very cool concept.
But then I ultimately, don't think it's something they completely delivered on.
No, not at all.
And it's a concept that did leave a lot of people very irate. Did you know that there's some controversy surrounding this movie?
I did not know that.
There's actually there's so many different areas of controversy with Lightyear.
Really?
And I think you're going to think it's all stupid.
Okay, let's hear it. This is what I like. I love calling things stupid.
So, Lightyear stars Chris Evans
Which is
of
stupid.
Captain America fame
That's my first.
as Buzz Lightyear, and that is the first area of controversy.
Yeah.
He's not Tim Allen, and a lot of people were really mad that he's not Tim Allen.
I'm mad he's not Tim Allen.
Okay, so people were mad about that, and they're like, oh, they're doing that because Tim Allen is conservative, and Disney doesn't want to work with him anymore. Well, Disney's actually working with Tim Allen right now on a Santa Claus, a new Santa Claus movie.
I love Santa Claus.
And Tim Allen's great as in the Santa Claus movies. So they're doing another one with him. So it's definitely not that they don't want to work with Tim Allen, because they're very much still working with Tim Allen. What the reason is, I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say it's probably because they wanted a younger sounding voice. And unfortunately, Tim Allen is an older guy now. And, he doesn't have the same voice. The other thing I would say is the Tim Allen voice that we are familiar with for Buzz Lightyear is the voice of a toy. How often do you think that when they record the voice clips for toys, are they actually recorded by the actors who played the character? Certainly in the 90s, they were not. Did you ever have a toy that could talk that was based on a movie or a TV show?
That's really loud thunder. No, I don't think so, actually.
I had a few, and I remember even as a kid, because I'm that kind of kid, I was like, this isn't the voice from the movie.
Yeah,
I was that kid. And I got really grumpy about that sort of stuff back then. So I personally can be like, the voice is like I can understand a reason. I can make a reason in my head for why it's a different voice, and I'm not upset about it. Personally, thought that Chris Evans' delivery of lines in this sounded a lot like Tim Allen.
He did a pretty. I feel like Tim Allen is a little bit more. I don't know if like stoic is really the right word.
I had Talking Ninja Turtles toys too.
Come on, guys.
Sorry, Jen.
I never had talking toys. I had a what do you call a Teddy Rumpskin or whatever.
Eddie Ruxpin?
I guess so. I don't know.
Rumpelstiltskin?
I don't know if he was a movie or not, but yeah, I don't know. There wasn't the same emphasis, I believe. But and I'm over Chris Evans. Okay, I'm tired of him. So that was a big like really of all the people, but he did fine. I wish it would have been Tim Allen, but he was fine.
My thing is like I don't know that he was better than what Tim Allen would have done with the movie, by any means. But I don't think he was like a drag on the movie. Like he's not the reason that I don't think the movie is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so the premise, like we said, is this is that movie. But the premise of the movie itself is that Buzz Lightyear is on a mission from Star Command to go and explore new worlds with this, floating station essentially, where everyone's in cryo, and he and his team check out a planet, and they're like, okay, we can wake everybody up and build a settlement here. But the first planet they land on, it turns out is not safe, so they have to try to escape. And Buzz, who has to do everything by himself and can't work with the team, tries to do something incredible to save the station and get it off this planet, and oops, he screws up and it crashes onto the planet, and now they're stuck here forever. And he can't accept that, so Buzz is going to spend all his time trying out new fuels to be able to go fast enough to launch the ship off this planet again. The problem is that every time he goes super fast, there's a time dilation issue and he comes back and he's still the same age, but the world has moved on. In some cases a few years, and in other cases like 30 years.
It was 4 years every time until like the last one was like 22 years or something like that.
Yeah, and he had done dozens of attempts. So all of the people from his original crew get old and die, but they have started a colony here, and so they had kids, and kids have grown up, and now they're working. But Buzz finally has the fuel calculations he needs, but when he finally gets back to the colony, so much time has passed, and it's a completely different world than the one he left. And that's the premise. So that's the premise of the movie. So first controversy. Chris Evans was Tim Allen. Second controversy, and this is one of my fun facts. Fun fact about Lightyear. The film is rated PG as opposed to the Toy Story films that were all rated G. However, due to a same-sex kiss that happens on the screen for like less than a millisecond, it has an NC-16 rating in Singapore, which is equivalent to an R rating, and it has been completely banned from release in China.
Really?
So that's the other thing that people have been very controversial. They've been arguing about online is, don't need to show that on screen, and this is a family thing, and so there's those people, and then there's like I don't know, you're aligned with China, who's banning an entire movie from even being shown in their country for a kiss that happens on screen for less than a second. It's like it's in the background. It's not even like do you even remember it happening, Jen?
Is it when they go into the apartment and she's like, "Oh, I got engaged" or whatever? I mean, I don't specifically remember.
Yeah, he's talking to the granddaughter or something, or he's talking to the daughter, and in the background you see his friend kiss. Oh no, it's her daughter is gay. Yeah, her daughter. I don't remember now.
No, she's gay. It's his friend,
his best
Hawthorne.
friend.
he gets back after his 4-year trip, and she's like, "Oh, I'm engaged," and she opens the door, and her like fiance isn't
And
there.
they give a little peck on
Yeah,
the lips, just a little peck. They're not making out, nothing too grotesque. It's on there for almost no time at all. And if people didn't bring it up all the time, I don't think most people would even really notice.
yeah, I wouldn't have
But
noticed actually.
so that was one of the other big controversies is that they chose to keep this in the movie, and so now China won't release it, and they're missing out on huge box office dollars in China
Good
because
for
they,
them.
yeah. So I applaud that decision. You know, not everything has to be about the money. Let's change the world with some media in a positive way. But I have other fun facts that are actually more fun. Chris Evans actually has the same birthday as Tim Allen, so they're essentially the same person. Yes, they were both born on June 13th, one in 1981 and one in 1953. So I thought that was a crazy coincidence.
Yeah, they should have a
Uh,
birthday party together, a Buzz Lightyear birthday party.
in the movie, oh, for uh, is it safe to unmute right now?
I don't have the spoiler tag on. We haven't been talking
Oh,
about the
okay,
movie. We've just been doing premises.
yeah. So there's an onboard computer in the spaceships. Yeah. So we're not in spoilers yet. You're good right now.
I'll put up the spoiler tag when we start talking about spoilers.
There's a voice in one of the for the onboard computer on the spaceships named Ivan in the movie, and this fun fact is it's voiced by the voice of OnStar Navigation.
Oh, really?
Isn't that funny? They got an actual her name is Mary McDonald Lewis and is the voice of OnStar Navigation.
That's cool. I like that.
And a little Easter egg: there's some oxygen tanks seen in the movie, and they are the exact same tanks as the tanks from Monsters Inc. that they fill with screams.
I do love those. I do love
I love when
things
they
like
do those
that.
sort of Easter eggs.
Yes, I
That's
really
really
do. Yeah.
so. What do you think? What do you want to talk about in this movie?
So I will. I tried not to give it extra points because you know how much I love Disney, but I know it's so stupid. The fucking like they always do this stupid animal companion bullshit that's supposed to make you go, oh, look how cute it is. I love it. Okay, but I love Socks. Okay, Socks
I do too.
was so cute. I love Socks. What a great character. Super happy with that. I also did really like, and you notice this a lot in the beginning of the movie. Buzz Lightyear says a lot of the things when you get the toy, his like sayings that they say in Story. He actually does like say them in this version of the movie, which I really liked a lot. But I did tear up whenever he goes to listen to that message after his friend died and she's like giving
Yep.
him that video. I did tear up a little bit on that one. So, but yeah, other than that, the movie was good. It was a good movie. I'll
What's
probably
interesting,
never
I felt
watch it
like
again, but
up until that point, I thought the movie was approaching excellence. Like I was like, oh, this is such an interest. I mean, it's they kind of do an Interstellar with the time dilation thing, but so it's not like an unheard of scientific premise in sci-fi, but it's cool that they did that in this kids movie, and it's a cool idea, and I thought it was being executed very well. But then when the movie's no longer about that, it kind of becomes a paint by numbers adventure movie.
yeah.
And it's not to say that it was bad in any regards, but uh, it wasn't anything special. Like it seemed like it was going to be something really spectacular.
All right, let me put the
Uh,
spoilers tag up.
I do want to say the voice of Socks he's a Pixar standby. He's in a lot of Pixar movies. His name is Peter Son, and he is the voice of Emile in Ratatouille. That's the rat, the brother,
Yeah.
the chubby rat from Ratatouille. He's also Squishy in Monsters University and the pet collector in The Good Dinosaur. So he's he's in a lot of Pixar stuff, and I believe he's also an animator with Pixar.
Okay.
So pretty cool that he gets to be involved in the acting as well.
Yeah.
But But yeah,
I think what you're right exactly was that at first it did seem like a really cool, unique movie, but then once he comes back and then he meets, the granddaughter, and they have a little ragtag team of underdogs and they have to save the day. Then the whole theme of I can't do it by myself. Oh, it's okay, we made a mistake, even though we just totally ruined the whole fucking plan. It's fine. It was just a mistake, and then they fix it, and then I don't know. It definitely became super paint by numbers after that, and that's why I accept that because it's a Disney movie, but it definitely kept it from being great, especially with a movie about Buzz Lightyear. That could have just been so good. But
so go ahead.
Well, mine actually has nothing. My last comment, that's my rant, doesn't have anything to do with the actual movie. So I want to save that for the end.
Okay. I have a spoiler-filled rant about this movie.
Okay.
So we still have spoiler up,
spoiler
right?
tag is up.
So in the movie, and this is where we come to the final controversy of this film.
Okay.
Is Buzz, as it turns out, and again, this is a big spoiler for the movie. Buzz discovers that Emperor Zurg, who is the main villain of this movie, is him. Buzz from the future has come back to the past as Emperor Zurg, and has a nefarious plot. Okay, so in Toy Story 2,
it's his dad.
Zurg is battling with a Buzz that does not realize he's a toy yet. The Zurg toy is battling the Buzz toy, and he says, "I'm your father."
Yeah.
And then, obviously spoofing Star Wars in that moment. But Toy Story fans, a lot of them, very, very much took that as canon. That Zurg has to be Buzz's dad in this movie. Well, and then they didn't do that, and Zurg is Buzz from the future. So that's the other controversy that people have about this movie, is that why did they change it? They said in the second Toy Story movie that, like, it's okay is what I want to tell these people. It's fine. But what did you think about that? Were you upset by that change?
I didn't realize it was such a controversy because I was thinking that, like, the whole movie. I was like, oh, it's going to be his dad, but they haven't really talked about his dad at all. So when they did the reveal of it's you, it's me, I'm you, I was another one of those just like paint by numbers like things that I wasn't surprised by it. I didn't find it particularly interesting. It would have been more interesting if it had been his dad, because I think it would have given like an interesting plot point.
Well, so there's two things that I want to say about. First is that it's almost like they took a lesson from Marvel and they took it to the extreme. We're like, okay, all the Marvel bad guys are some version of the main character. Iron Man fights guys in suits of armor. Black Panther fights someone in a Black Panther suit of armor. Doctor Strange fights other magic users. It's always, they're always fighting their exact counterpart, right? And so in this one, they took that quite literally and made Buzz fight himself.
Yeah.
As far as him not being Zurg not being his dad, that doesn't bother me too much. I just wish that they had gone one step further with the movie, and like they could have made it so like that old timey Buzz, when he encountered Zurg in his timeline, it was his dad. And then he defeated his dad, and then got old and realized that he had screwed something up in the timeline, and he went back to change it as he does in this. I just wish that like they'd found a way to do both, because if you knew the whole time that Zurg is going to be Buzz's dad, then it's not a cool reveal when you find out that it's his dad.
Yeah.
So they tried to subvert your expectations by making it Buzz himself. But then that upsets some people, certainly to a greater degree than you're bothered by it, for sure, that, they turned it into Buzz. And so, like, I think there's a way that you could have kind of done both. But yeah, so we can stop talking spoilers if you're ready to. Oh no, you have your rant. You have another rant.
Man, you really got me thinking about. I didn't really think anybody would care because it just seemed like a Star Wars joke, in the second one, in the second Toy Story. So I guess I didn't really think about it because I guess I didn't think about it literally, but I just think it would have made for a better story if it had, because you would have been like, wow, why is his dad upset? Like, what could his dad possibly want to destroy everything for? We didn't want to destroy anything. He wanted to revert it back. But, like, why would his dad care? So, yeah, I just was not excited about it just being him as the big reveal anyways. So maybe that's why I wasn't, like, super upset. I don't know. I just feel like I felt nothing this week. Everything was very disappointing. But I do have my rant. I don't know that it's necessarily a spoiler. But I'll leave the spoiler tag up just in case. All right, here we go. Ready for this? All right. Imagine you're
Dragons.
like, I don't like them. Imagine you're like a 12-year-old boy and you love cowboys. You have a Woody doll and all these toys, and your whole bedroom is decorated in Western cowboy stuff. You play with your Woody doll every day. He's your
Plays with
favorite.
his Woody all the time.
All the time. Just playing with it. So then imagine you see a movie. Oh my God. This movie has changed my life. Now I am obsessed with Buzz Lightyear. I'm going to have a Buzz Lightyear party, and then I'm going to decorate change my entire personality to be Buzz Lightyear. I fucking love Buzz Lightyear. This is the Buzz Lightyear you were watching, like this movie. You watched this movie, and you were like, holy shit, I fucking love Buzz Lightyear. What a fucking awesome guy for me to completely change everything about my life. To be obsessed with Buzz Lightyear. You go to the toy store, there are walls of Buzz Lightyear toys. He's got his own video game. This movie, you watched this Buzz Lightyear, and that you feel so strongly about him that you start this whole franchise off of this one fucking character. He did not do anything super badass. Nothing. The end.
Okay. It's funny because my thought on this movie is that if I saw this as an 8-year-old boy, I probably would have been obsessed with Buzz Lightyear.
What? He did nothing cool. The whole point of the story was that he couldn't do it himself. He needed his quirky, ridiculous friends.
He flies an awesome spaceship super fast, and he has a cool robot pet. And he travels through time and, fights giant robots. I'm just saying, like, it's definitely not a perfectly executed movie, but if I was a child and this was my first, and all I played with was, cowboy dolls and Mr. Potato Head, and I played with a piggy bank. I played with an actual piggy bank. This is the shit I played with. Yeah. The spaceman who shoots lasers, yeah, I'm going to be on board. He can file his taxes, and I'm going to think it's the most exciting thing I've ever seen.
Okay, well, I just don't get it. I didn't think he was that fucking cool at all. Very underwhelmed.
Joanna says it's a dude thing, Jen.
Yeah.
You won't get it.
I don't know. I like space people. I like laser beams, but there wasn't enough. He wasn't giving it to me. I felt nothing. I did not for 1 second think, wow, what a fucking badass. That was so cool. Wow. Stupid.
So, I don't know. Just remind yourself of how cool Socks is.
Okay, see, I would have had a Socks doll for sure. I don't know about Buzz Lightyear, but Socks should have been the star of that movie.
Severance says, fact check me on this, but I believe one of the other controversies is that this movie isn't anything like the one briefly described in the Toy Story movies. So I've like I said, I've been doing this Pixar rewatch. I just watched all three Pixar movies all three Toy Story movies all 3 Toy Story movies of the original Toy Story trilogy. I watched them last week, and I don't think it does anything that breaks with the canon of that movie, except for what it does regarding Zurg. And since we're not in the spoilers anymore, I'm not going to go into that again.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, which do I like better? Obviously, I like Toy Story better.
Oh yeah, Toy Story 2 is my favorite.
Really?
Yes.
That is my least favorite of the original trilogy.
I haven't seen 4, so
That's why I did limit it to the original trilogy.
okay. Which one's your favorite?
Toy Story 3.
I only saw it once, and I did cry.
I cried. Like when I saw Toy Story 3, this was 2010 when this movie came out. So I was graduating college, or just graduated college. And Andy in the movie was just going to college. So we're right in that same age group, and I grew up with the Toy Story movies, right? Like this cast of characters,
yeah,
they grew up with me. So that's why Toy Story 3 means so much to me, and it really resonated on a lot of different levels. I really thought it was something special. When they hold hands as they're all about to be dropped into the furnace, I was like, gets me every time.
I gotta watch it again. I've only seen it the one time, so yes, I did cry though.
But in Toy Story 2, I like, and I liked it even more on this rewatch than I remembered liking it, because it had been a while since I'd last seen it. But my issue with Toy Story 2 is that the best thing about the movie is Jesse's backstory.
Yeah,
like that's the most emotionally gut wrenching thing, and it's so good. But then everything else about it is, to me, not as good as Toy Story 1 or 3. So like that moment is fantastic. But and also, I don't know, Jesse's just not my favorite. I don't dislike her, but not my favorite.
yeah. I think maybe why the first one's not my favorite. I watched it a lot. My sister really liked it, so I watched it a lot, and I think I just got like real sick of it. And Toy Story 2, I did watch that one a lot, but that was kind of by choice. I think I definitely watched that one a lot on my own. I liked Prospector. Speaking of Frasier.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because it's Kelsey Grammer. That's
I love this. Best beast ever. But yes, I do like
all 2 of them. He's been the best.
That is another thing. Yes. Where were the fucking aliens? You got the whole planet with all the little alien things that were where they're not in the movie.
The aliens weren't from Buzz Lightyear.
What?
They're from Pizza Planet.
Dang. I really wanted to see those fucking aliens. I thought that would have been so funny.
I was like, you're not the only one who had that complaint, but that one actually makes sense in the canon of the universe. They're not actually from the same thing.
All right. That's fair. That's fair.
Okay, so that's Lightyear. What would you rate it?
I gave it a 7.
That is also what I gave it, 7 out of 10. I did think it was fun. It's good, and like I said, if I was a child, I would have been, especially if I was a child in the mid 90s when this theoretically came out, I would have been blown away by it. But but as 34-year-old Jeff, I'm like, yeah, this is all right. This is pretty good.
Yeah, I turned it off. I was like, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's fine.
Definitely not rated R though. Singapore, get your shit together.
Poor Singapore. People that live there sucks. Can't even watch Lightyear. All right. Well, the last movie Jeff watched, I have not seen it,
and I'm not going to get into any spoilers on this one because, like I said, it just came out last weekend. But I'm talking about Bullet Train, the new Brad Pitt movie. It's directed by David Leitch. I may be wrong on the pronunciation there. He was a longtime stuntman himself, but his directing credits are Deadpool 2. He's uncredited as a director on John Wick. He did Atomic Blonde, which is a really cool action movie that if you haven't seen that, Jen, you should check that one out. Charlize Theron is the main person in that one. Really,
She's
really
hot,
good.
very hot.
Very hot. She's so hot right now.
She's so hot. Except for in Monster, she was not hot.
Okay, I mean facts. But he also did Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, which is, I mean, it's not a Fast and Furious main movie, but it's still Fast and Furious, so it's ridiculous. Anyways, I think he's a very fun director. But Bullet Train, it gives me Raid Redemption or Dread vibes because it's an action movie that is entirely restricted to this one location, and so they're moving their way, through like in like Dread, they're moving their way up and down the building. In the Raid, they're moving their way up and down the building. In Bullet Train, characters are constantly moving back and forth along the length of a bullet train in Japan. It's got really cool stunt work. Like I got kind of the creative way that they use props and things in the fights in this movie reminds me very much of like the 90s, early 2000s Jackie Chan movies, where you like heavily use ordinary inanimate objects and using them in combat, in like tossing them up, and it's great stunt work in this movie. It also does a really cool thing where everything in this movie is a Chekhov's gun. Are you familiar with Chekhov's gun?
Mm-mm.
It's this rule in movies that if you show a gun in the first act of a movie, someone has to use it in the third act of the movie.
Really?
And and that's a very common movie trope. It's setups and payoffs is what it's all about. And this movie has, like, if they show you anything for any amount of time, it's gonna come back later.
I did not know
And
that.
sometimes it's really, really fun. I mean, it's definitely not the most gripping narrative ever, but the comedy is really good. This is a great action comedy. It's not like Marvel comedy where they're all just being snarky all the time. It's like the Brad Pitt's character in this movie is this is his first job back after a serious injury. As he just does snatch and grab jobs. So like he's gonna steal this briefcase on the bullet train, and he's gonna get off the train, and that's his mission. But he's rethinking his life. He's all about mental health now, and he's been talking to his therapist, and they're really working through a lot of things, and he's really adjusting his whole worldview. And while he's having all these epiphanies about his own mental health and his lot in life and how he puts himself in these situations, he's having to fight assassins and things like that. It's very, very fun, and the cast is great. And it's the most. This is going to be very random. It's the most I've ever seen Thomas the Tank Engine referenced in any movie ever. And so if you're a Thomas fan, you're going to get a kick out of that. I was a Thomas fan as a kid. So, did anything I say about Bullet Train spark your interest at all?
I mean, you kind of lost me at action comedy. I'm kind of just tired of all my action things being funny, which was kind of nice about Prey. It wasn't funny at all. So I did like that. But yeah, I don't know. I'm tired of action comedy. So I've been really worn out on the movies recently.
Well, I didn't make you go see this one.
No.
So
But did you like it?
I did very much so. Again, this is one that I gave an 8 out of 10. It's the kind of movie, and I think it falls into a category of movie where I know it's nothing that is like, it's not the best at anything, but it's really good at a lot of things. And it's the kind of movie that if I were to see it on, like, God forbid I was watching cable, I mean, who does that anymore? But if I saw it was on cable or on HBO, I'd probably sit and watch it again, because I most definitely would. And it's a movie that I feel like it doesn't matter when you jump into it after the first time you've seen it. Like on any rewatch, I just know that I could be like, oh, this part's great. And then I settle in and I'm going to watch the rest of the movie because there's so many great set piece moments in the movie. It's a lot of fun. I really do recommend that people go check it out. There's action movies are, they're a dime a dozen in a lot of ways these days. So ones that really have a cool style to them or a cool setting that sets them apart is something that I think is important to highlight. And so Bullet Train is a new classic for me in this genre.
I can see that. I like stylized stuff. So, but
It takes place in on a Japanese bullet train, so there's a lot of neon lights and futuristic looking details on the train. You know, it's cool. It's very pretty and violent, super violent.
super violent. More violent than Predator.
Uh, Comparable. Pretty violent. It's pretty violent.
I guess it's like you said, all the stunt action fighting stuff. So lots of blood.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know if I'll see it. The end
Well,
of
maybe
the
it'll come to
line
streaming
is
service
just the
someday.
beginning.
It has Aaron Taylor Johnson from Kick Ass. He was Kick Ass and Kick Ass. Obviously, he's grown up a bit since then, and he's done other movies. He was Quicksilver in the MCU. It also stars Brian Tyree Henry, who is from Atlanta. I don't know if you've ever watched that.
I think
Is it
I've only
Atlanta
seen,
he's
like,
on? Yeah.
1 or 2 episodes.
I've heard great things about Atlanta. And he's also in The Eternals, another MCU movie. A lot of MCU overlap here.
Yeah, that's why I'm over Chris Evans. So over him. This is like Snowpiercer, yeah? Where they're, well, I guess they're not going up and down. They're,
Did you watch Heroes when that was on?
well,
Way
yeah,
back
when
when?
it came out. I don't remember anything about it.
Okay. Do you remember the teleporty guy? Okay, well, he's in this movie. He plays a conductor in this movie. Like, it's a bit part, but as soon as I saw him, I'm like, oh my god, it's the teleport guy from Heroes. Masioka is his name. Sorry, go
That
ahead.
was another show that I really wanted to go back and rewatch. I think I was too young to really get it at the time, but did you like Heroes? Did you ever watch it?
Yeah, well, the first season was incredible, and then there was the writer's strike, and things went downhill shortly thereafter. And then they tried to make a comeback with it, and it just never quite got to where it was. And it fizzled out for me. And I did watch it all, and I even watched when they did a new season in like 2014, 2015, something like that. They did Heroes Reborn, and I watched all of that as well, and it was fine. It was more Heroes.
Yeah.
I just want alphas back. Bring me back alphas.
I know. I was just, every time somebody talks about Heroes, I'm like, yeah, but you see Alphas? Ugh, Alphas was so good. And the way it ended, I was like, come on. Give
will
me
never get our
more.
satisfaction.
Never. So good. I loved that they all had drawbacks to their powers. Love Alphas.
Never know what you got till it's gone.
Yeah. Sad.
But yeah, 8 out of 10 on Bullet Train.
8 out of 10. So far, the best reviewed movie of the night.
I mean, I gave a bunch of things 8 out of 10 tonight, but that's just me.
Oh, I guess you did give Prey an 8. That's true.
I gave Prey, and I started to give Nope.
Nope, but it didn't earn it.
Yeah, it's dropped down to a 7. It's a 7.
All right, we only have one more thing to talk about. I kind of got inspired by this news of Lady Gaga being in the new Joker movie.
Lady Gaga?
What? Is that a thing? People say it like that?
No.
Okay. I thought I had heard when they released the Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie that the director specifically came out and said that it was a one-shot only movie. They did not plan on doing a sequel.
He had no intentions at that time to doing a sequel.
So then when I heard there's going to be a fucking sequel, I was really upset. But when I watched The Joker, I actually went to the theater and saw it twice. When I walked out of that theater, I said, okay, now is the time for them to introduce Harleen Quinzel. Like, he is at this asylum. I want their story. I want the story to be about, the movie to be about how they met, how she gets in this relationship with him, how she becomes Harley Quinn. That is, I want that story in this style of movie, I give it to me. But then they were like, well, there's not going to be a sequel. And I was like, that's fine. If I can't have what I want, then I don't want anything at all.
And no sequel.
But then they announce Lady Gaga is going. They didn't say if she's going to be Harley Quinn or not. So I don't know if that is where they're going to end up going with it. We'll see. I'm not going to speculate. But it did get me to want to read Harleen, which is basically the story of how Harleen Quinzel meets Joker. And it's, I can never say his name right.
Joaquin Phoenix?
No, the writer and artist is named Stechpen.
I think it's like Stefan Sejic
Yes.
or something like that.
It's spelled really weird. Stefan Sejic. Anyways, he is an amazing artist and writer. Actually, when we were doing the Pop XP, somebody we were interviewing, and he was working with Stefan or mentioned him, and I was like, oh my god, I fucking love him. I love his work on Sunstone and Harleen. Like, I'm a really big fan of his art. He's so amazing. And he was like in our chat, like talking, and I didn't realize it was him. And so then I was like very embarrassed to have been gushing all about him while he was there. Very embarrassing. But huge fan of his art, especially, but his writing style is so good. This does actually have quite a bit of dialogue in it, which I do like that in comics, but I don't want to do really any spoilers because it's just the whole, it's a 3-book series, and the whole
3 issues, right?
well, it's they're like 66 pages.
They're larger than normal issues. Okay.
Yes, they're more than like the typical 28-30 pages or whatever.
Yeah.
But that's all 3 books. It's just about even actually she doesn't even meet the Joker until a bit into the first one. So it is, the main character is Harleen Quinzel, and it is about how she starts to form a relationship with the Joker and how she becomes Harley Quinn. It's pretty much the setup. It's there's not really like any action. It's just really about their relationship and how they, start.
It's about the mental aspect of things.
Yes, it's definitely a very mental aspect of it. So very cool, very unique. I think this is something that has never really been explored enough before. I have always wanted to hear the story of how did Harleen Quinzel really get hooked into becoming Harley Quinn. And just the art is so amazing. It's just so, he's so talented. It's so simple, but it is so amazing. I don't know how, it's so good.
When they've done this sort of story in the past, and they've done it in TV shows and in comics and in, and a little bit in some movies where they kind of show when Harley Quinn joins up with Joker, right? But it always happens so quickly. Like, does this give you a lot of time to see their relationship develop?
Yes, that's the entire 3-book series. That is what it is about.
So we don't get to see them at all as Harley Quinn and Joker.
No.
That's really cool.
It's like the last panel of the last book. You see her. She goes from being, a psychiatrist,
respected psychiatrist,
and she's going there to study, and she's got this theory about how to help criminals don't have empathy, and she's trying to figure out why don't they have empathy, how can I fix that. And it's just like her, she starts interviewing him, and it's about their interviews and how she's going through this, like, starting to kind of fall in love with him, but then be like, no, that's crazy. Like, I can't do that. That's ridiculous. And just slowly this downhill slope of how she slowly just becomes like obsessed with him. But she's not Harley Quinn at all in this book. She is just Harleen Quinzel. So
they do a little bit of this in the Harley Quinn animated show that's on HBO Max. I think it's very funny, and it's definitely an adult cartoon, very graphically violent and foul language and all that stuff. And I think it's quite good, but it is they do some flashbacks where you get to see their relationship budding and all that. And I think it's the most time they've actually given in any show to actually showing this. So it is interesting that this whole book is all about that, because even in the Harley Quinn animated show, I felt like it still feels like it's not earned, their relationship. It doesn't make sense. It's like yes, it's the Joker and he's charismatic and convincing, but like seriously, he's that convincing that like you have 3 sessions with the guy and now you're like, yeah, dump me in a vat of chemicals, baby, let's do it.
Yeah, this goes. I want to say it's either 6 or 8 months this story goes on from the time that she meets him until like the last bit of the book. But it's just, I don't know, it's just simple. It's a really, there's nothing convoluted or crazy or like just ridiculous about it. It's just like a very simple love story, which I think is very controversial. And also, if this is, I did mention this on social media. I did want to talk about because I really want to get your opinion on this. Harley Quinn and Joker are just a very controversial couple because originally in the animated series when she's introduced, she's like overly obsessive with Joker to the point where she like doesn't care about her well-being at all. And
Yeah.
so that's why eventually they change her to where she's more independent. She kicks him to the curb, especially now all of the Harley Quinn stuff, Birds of Prey, is very like pro woman, like you can do it on your own, fuck Joker, all this stuff. But I don't know. And that's people say it's very bad to view them as a romantic relationship because people do take that too far and say, "Oh, this is how a relationship is supposed to be." They romanticize.
They idolize or romanticize a toxic relationship.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people, I don't know if a lot of people would like this book. It is very, I would say it's very intimate. Like there is romance like going on. Just the way that there is, I mean, it's not graphic, but they definitely have sex in this book. And it's like, it's very romanticized. So I can see why this book might be a little controversial. And, if you've ever read Sunstone, he's definitely good at drawing the, I don't want to say erotica, but, he plays up the
when
romance.
they're getting intimate.
Yeah, they play up the romance aspect a lot in this book, but it is very intimate. So I can see some people might feel like very uncomfortable reading this book, considering eventually they know what kind of relationship it leads to. But I don't know that we'll ever get a sequel to this because she leaves. They run off together and 4 years, they do a scene 4 years later, and then she's in the Harley Quinn outfit. So I don't know if we'll ever get. I would love the next step. How did she go completely from Harleen Quinzel, like escaped, and what do they do together, and how does she like start, getting this warped sense of like absolute obsession with him, and how does he end up? Because he's not mean to her at all in this book series. So the whole like abuse, there's none of that. So I like.
So it sounds like they're giving you the actual reason for why. Like, how could she fall for the Joker?
Yeah,
and it's like, well, because he was good to her.
That's what I'm saying. This might be a controversial book for some people because it really does put that.
It almost feels like the responsible thing. I said responsible in the sense of responsible storytelling would be to tell more of the story and show where things actually go wrong and it becomes a toxic relationship, or rather is revealed to be a toxic relationship. Because what I'm guessing is the next step of this is Joker starts to manipulate her more overtly, and she doesn't catch it because now she's in love with him. But you, as the reader, will see this is Joker twisting her to fit what he wants.
Well, that's what I'm saying is I don't know if we'll get that because the last panel says 4 years later and she's already Harley Quinn. I would like that.
Yes. I'm saying I would like that because it feels like that's a important part of the story. Especially, like, I guess I don't know if maybe he doesn't care about people idolizing or romanticizing this relationship when they really shouldn't. Maybe he just wanted to tell this story, and I guess that's fine. It's not his responsibility necessarily to make other people understand that you shouldn't idolize the biggest villain from the Batman universe.
But so that's why I wanted to kind of ask your opinion on that, which I think you kind of just answered. I love this aspect of Harley Quinn and Joker. I love their relationship because it's not sweet and nice. It's twisted and it's dark, but that like happens. And
Yeah,
I know that now, like I said, now she's all empowered and doing things, kick Joker to the curb. But I like this dark, twisted, romantic, misplaced like relationship that they have, and I feel like we never got to see that developed enough. This is as most as that story has been developed
yeah.
so far. And but I want that. How did she turn? What did he do to turn her into that Harley Quinn? So I really want them to make a sequel to this book.
I would support that. I mean, I haven't read it, but I think that the premise sounds interesting with this one, and I feel like after reading this, I would want to see more. I would want to see. I don't know. It sounds like something unique in the DC canon, and this is under DC's Black Label,
Yeah.
which is their more. It's not Vertigo. It's not like a completely different thing under the DC comics house. It's still within DC Comics, but it's a more mature, uh, less action packed line in their comics. It's more about the narrative than it is about being superheroes and fighting and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And so I think, I mean, it's an. Oh, I was going to tell you, I have a fun fact on this.
Oh.
I only have one, but this Harleen, the collected works in the hardcover, all three issues in one book, is a New York Times bestseller.
Oh, really?
So it's done well. It's popular.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe it will get more to it, or maybe they will see this and decide to look at this sort of lens in other characters and focus more on them as characters than them as props for action, and that sort of deal.
Yeah,
Oh,
Batman is in it, but hardly at all. And there's like one scene of action at like the very beginning of the book or the middle of this book, but I highly recommend. We've talked about this before, but the DC Unlimited app, or is it DC Unlimited? I can never, yeah, because it's Marvel Infinite and DC
Marvel,
Unlimited.
no, DC Infinite, Marvel
Infinite. What? One of those. Anyways, the app is great. So I actually have the book in paper form, and it's a bigger book than like a standard comic book, which is great because the art is just so good. But honestly, I really liked reading this on the computer screen because you can make it really big and you can see like all of the art like really detailed, and you can like zoom in, and the art is just so good. I really recommend using the app and reading these three books. Ugh, yeah. I really like dark twisted stuff, so I was really into this book. I thought it was really good, and maybe I'll get what I want. Maybe Lady Gaga will be Harleen Quinzel, and it will be similar to this book series about how their relationship starts and she becomes Harley Quinn. We won't know.
Fingers crossed.
Years. Yeah,
I personally was not hoping for a Joker sequel.
Yeah.
I didn't love Joker, so I was like, I was happy to.
We need to do this. I got to be on your show. We need to talk. You
guys, you said you wanted to talk about Joker.
Yeah, we got to talk about Joker on your show.
Okay, we can do that.
All right.
You heard it here, folks. Remember the film Joker coming soon.
Coming soon. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
I mean, I will as well. But I didn't hate Joker. I guess I should say I liked it, but I didn't love it, and everyone else seemed to love it or absolutely hate it.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I'd be excited to check out more of that. Let's see. We had some good comments.
Oh, well, Not Bob mentioned that Joker has always been a manipulative person. It makes sense that he'd hide it at first. You get a little bit of that in this, just a little bit, and it definitely does make you go like, oh, okay. That's why I'm saying it, like, they just give you those little bit of hints of, this is, what does he mean? Like, is he actually feeling this way? Is he not? Is he manipulating her to get out? Like, what is... I need the second part of the series, because I need to know how long this, like, honeymoon phase continues on for. I would really like a sequel to this series.
Well, if someone were to ask you what you rate Harleen,
it's one thing I'd really like to give it a 9.5, but I don't believe in half points.
you don't believe in fractions. You told me no on fractions.
I don't believe in fractions. So I'm gonna see. I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with a 9, just because I wish it was longer. I wish they had continued on with it. So it's really like a 10, but I want more of it, and that's a big downside for me. But there's nothing wrong with it, like, as it is. So you could read this and be totally satisfied. But I think if you read this, you want more, especially from this writer. His style is perfect to show this kind of relationship.
Amanda makes a good point. If you don't want to believe in fractions, at least believe in decimals, Jen.
9 points.
Sort of Greg's fractions exist and they deserve to be seen.
So I guess
yeah. I had a feeling that you weren't going to be able to give this a perfect 10, because it did sound like you want more. And it's interesting, because it's interesting the way people rate things, and myself included in this. It sounds like you absolutely love everything about this, but the only problem you have is that you wanted more of it. And so it's interesting that you therefore can't give it a perfect score, because it was so good that you want more of it.
But that's because this is only the beginning of their story. You know that it's not like you watched a movie and it had a complete beginning, middle, and end. Like, this is just the beginning of their story together. There's more, because the ending is, there's a long way to go to get all of the facts, all of the story. So it needs to exist because there's precedence for it. This came out in 2019, so I'm hoping, we'll get
Been 3 years. Give us another book.
I can wait 3 years. No, I can't. I'll forget. I'll have to read it again.
It's already been 3 years, so it should be ready now.
Oh, okay. I think 3 more years. I'll message.
No, it's already been 3 years.
I'll message him. I'll message him on Twitter. Like, excuse me.
Do you remember when I fangirled about you on this YouTube show?
You might not remember me, but big fan. Yeah. And
then, of course, yes, give Jen more DC. I do miss the days where Jen was excited about superhero comic books. So, yeah, give us some more cool superhero content that you'll actually enjoy.
Yeah, anytime I post about this show, comment, say, hey, I'd really like for you guys to talk about this. I'd like for you to talk about this movie or this TV show, especially comics, because we both have the Marvel and DC apps. It's really easy for us to pick up, a couple of issues. So
if you have suggestions,
yeah,
tweet at us.
Always leave comments. Always tweet us and tag
whenever you reply to Jen's pictures advertising our show, I'm tagged in those as well. So you can actually reply to that and say, hey, you and Grizz should read these comics. Also, Jen looks great today. You can say both those things.
Yeah. You can compliment and give us sustenance. It's great.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I hope you guys are looking at those pictures. Got a lot of information going on, so all
a lot of
information.
But yeah, so well, that's if you ask me for this week, isn't it, Jen?
Sorry, that was a long episode, guys. We had a lot.
Sorry, what are you talking about? It was great. We had a great time.
It's almost 10 o'clock. Jeff's gotta go to bed.
I do need to go to bed. I got work in the morning.
Boo.
Boo. Work sucks. Blink 182 told me that.
Oh. I don't like
Work
Blink
sucks.
182.
I know. You don't. Not at all. None of their songs.
No, I don't know who's worse, Blink 182 or Green Day.
I think Green Day went way more mainstream.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm shocked that Joanna's still awake.
Thanks for hanging out with us,
Thanks
Joanna.
hanging out.
What a trooper. My favorite comment from her was like, I guess it's just a boy thing. Because if I was a boy, I'd be like, come on, you punk Buzz Lightyear. Such a
Do
punk.
something cool.
Do something cool. It wasn't cool enough. Not cool enough.
Come on, punk Buzz Lightyear. Why aren't you Tim Allen?
I love Tim Allen, so I wasn't mad, but I was very disappointed. I love Tim Allen's voice.
I think I do associate him with Buzz Lightyear. So like I don't know why he wasn't. I don't know why, but I do know that it wasn't because Disney doesn't want to work with him anymore because they're still working with him.
Yeah.
So it's not that.
I didn't hear about that. Yeah.
Well,
sad.
If you ask me, it's time for me to go to bed.
Do you want to try to pick a topic for next week, or I don't really have any ideas?
I don't know off the top of my head yet.
All right. Well, we'll think about it when we decide one specific topic. I will post about it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for coming, guys. See you later. Hope you don't go see Nope. Don't go see it. Not worth it.
I mean, you can go see it. Make up your own minds about things.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, guys. See you later.
Bye, everybody.